That is Tom Brady back for lesson 6, forms. There are dangerous forms and there are not dangerous forms. We're going to go over them and make them less dangerous, hopefully. I'm going to try and stop saying all right in this video. I said it about 1,000 times the last video. Drove me crazy. Can't be too pleasant for you. All right. The first thing I want to say is any form you sign, if you don't get a copy right there, take a picture of it. All right, this way nothing can change. You have a picture of how it was when you signed it, so if anything appears afterwards, you have proof of what you signed, all right? The forms will all be downloadable in the class content. Here, I'll try and put them on the screen, but I'm not sure how good you'll be able to see them, but you can download them or open them up from the course. All right, the first form that you should see from your agent is the New York State disclosure form for buyer and seller. You want to pay particular attention to the check boxes. Buyer as buyer's agent, seller as seller's agent. If they're seller's agent, that means anything you tell them, they're supposed to tell the seller, all right? If they're a buyer's agent, then you're supposed to be able to confide in them and they have to keep your confidence. If they're a dual agent, theoretically, you're supposed to have them as a buyer's agent and the seller has them as a seller's agent. They either split themselves in half or one agent gets assigned to you and the other one to the seller. I don't know if it's the best way to go, but it is what it is. If you go to an open house, you don't get dual agency automatically. You have to request it. It has to be granted by the listing agent. He has to have you sign a disclosure and dual agent has to be checked off. If it says seller is seller's agent, then he's not a dual agent. He's the listing agent only. So all he owes you is honest dealings at that point. Right, so that's New York State disclosure. You should get that with any substantive contact with an agent. The next one you're going to see all the time is the New York State Housing and Anti-Discrimination Disclosure Form. I would also take a picture of it if you sign it. You should have to sign it. All right, those first two forms you should get in pretty much every transaction or when you're dealing with an agent, all right? Or your agent, anyway, your buyer's agent will have you sign them, and then you should be good. All right, the exclusive buyer representation agreement. This is the dangerous one that you have to be very careful of because you'll sign this for a time period. During that time period, you can only work with this agent and you'll owe this agent whatever fee is on the contract. So if you sign for a year, technically you can't work with another agent for that year. If you buy a house in that year and the seller's not paying out, technically you're going to owe the agent that you signed the agreement whatever percentage price, flat fee, whatever is in that contract. So you want to be really careful. I said in the last video, I'll say it in this one. Don't sign an exclusive buyer representation agreement with an agent you just met or one you don't know very well. If you do sign one, make it for a week. Then sign a new one after that week. Or let's jump over to the non-exclusive buyer representation agreement. This means you can work with other realtors. This would be a better option while you're getting to know the agent. But it's also still going to have that fee in it. So if you don't if you buy and the seller doesn't pay, you're still going to owe that fee, right? There is also a form, an addendum to convert the non-exclusive to an exclusive. But I don't see any reason to sign a long-term exclusive agreement with any agent. Sign it for a week, maybe a month if you're willing to give it a month. But if you get stuck and the agent's doesn't work well with you, it's not a good thing to me. All right, let's go on to lead paint. You'll see this when you're buying a house that's bought before 1978. It'll just say if the seller has any records, usually they're not going to, and that you were given a chance to inspect it. Okay, again, take a picture of it. You're supposed to sign it before contract. All right. Let's get to the offer sheet. A typical offer sheet, each company usually uses its own. There is a standard MLS one. You want to make sure that the offer sheet says it's non-binding. And it will generally contain the date, the purchaser, seller, purchase price, down payment at contract, cash at closing. So down payment is broken into two parts. Earnest money at contract, what you're going to put down on contract, and then the rest goes down when you're closing. So if you're putting 20% down, you might put 10% down on contract. You might put the rest at closing. Now that'll get into the section on offers, making a strong offer. We'll discuss that. Then there'll be the amount of the mortgage if you're paying a mortgage on there. The offer is subject to the following terms and conditions. Usually have an inspection, 3 to 5 business days. Don't waive the appraisal without being very, very cautious. Sometimes people will waive part of it. Sometimes they'll waive it all, which is not a good idea. If you waive the appraisal clause in the contract, that means if it doesn't appraise, you might still be on the hook to buy it and you'll have to make up the difference with cash. If you don't waive the appraisal clause, then they'll have to be a little more willing to bargain with you. All right, that's just be careful about what you waive. Never waive the inspection, all right? You can say it's for informational purposes only, maybe, but do an inspection. All right, it's also going to say when the contract will be signed, when the closing will be, but those are tentative. They'll be changed by the lawyers. All right, it should also have the commission that your agent is getting. Hopefully the seller is going to pay that. If the seller doesn't pay that, like I said before, you could be on the hook from that buyer contract, right? It'll have the attorneys for the buyer, attorney for the seller, selling agency, selling agent, listing agency, listing agent. That's the offer sheet. There's another form that the real estate will have you sign. That's buyer's rights regarding property disclosure. And this is you'll get the actual property condition disclosure from your lawyer before you sign the contract. This just says that you have a right to it. All right. And those are the main forms that you're going to see. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but be careful with the buyer contract. I just can't say it enough, and people are going to sign it and then they're going to be like, I hate my agent, but they won't let me get out of this contract. Or you go to closing and all of a sudden you have to pay 2-3% more than you thought in closing costs because the seller's not paying. All right, communication, make sure you communicate with your agent. They know what you want, you know what they want, but be careful of these exclusive buyer representation agreements. They're dangerous. Know what you're signing, take pictures of it. All right, and I will see you in lesson 7. And I think I said too many all rights in this one. I'll try and cut it down next one. Thank you.